Yo, so this video is kind of overdue. I owe you an apology for something I did with G3X. Back in October, I launched the Kingdom Grind collection, and not gonna lie, looking back, that drop was a big mistake. Not because the pieces were ugly or whatever, but because it wasn't me and it wasn't G3X. When I was preparing that drop, I wanted it to be fire, of course, right, to look cool, to look dope. And I told myself like, yeah, this is fire, this is Kingdom, this is next level. But after the launch, and especially during the designing phase where I had an argument with the designer, I sat there like, bro, I genuinely don't know the answers to some of the most basic questions of my own clothing brand. As a founder, that makes you feel like, bro, what the heck? It really hit me. And it was like, what does G3X actually stand for? What's its DNA? What's the DNA of the brand? What fits? What doesn't? Why does this design belong on a garment of G3X versus not belonging, right? And as the founder, I just felt lost. And so here's the honest truth that I learned from this drop. With Kingdom Grind, I effectively launched something that wasn't aligned with my DNA, and it definitely wasn't aligned with the brand's DNA. Because at that point, I didn't even have a clear brand identity. I had ideas in my head, things that I liked, vibes, words that I liked, but there was nothing written. There was no, let's say, structure. There was no framework. There was no filter that could tell me like, yes, this is aligned with G3X, or no, this isn't aligned with G3X. This is completely off the mark. So I ended up doing the exact thing I never wanted to do, which was just launching something because it looked cool, but it was totally off the mark of what G3X is supposed to be. And for that, I genuinely want to say I'm sorry. I'm sorry to my audience who's been rocking with me since day one for dropping something that wasn't truly G3X. It wasn't aligned with G3X. I, as the founder, was completely lost on what G3X was truly meant to be, and I was trying to force a direction that wasn't me. After that argument with the designer, I remember telling myself, I never want to feel this unprepared about my own brand ever again. So for the last few months, I've been locked up behind the scenes, no crazy launches, no crazy collections, no forced launches, just me, a notebook, my computer, and God, and truly figuring out and writing down things that genuinely speak to me about G3X, right? Verbal inspirations, visual inspirations, phrases and messagings and aesthetics that align with who I am, and that I want that to be aligned with what G3X will be, for the man that G3X is for, the story behind God Gym Grind. The more I started working on those references, the more I started working on those inspirations, more things started to click. The message became much clearer. The identity of G3X became much more clearer, much more straightforward. And eventually this whole time, the real message was still becoming, which you've seen I've been adding that on my personal Instagram lately of I'm still becoming, but I'm not who I was. And I didn't have those words. I didn't have that phrase before. I'm not who I was, but I'm also not yet where I'm supposed to be, right? I'm in that process of still becoming. That's me. And that's a lot of you watching this video right now as well. And then with God Gym Grind, I realized this needed more weight. It's not just some cool phrase, oh, God Gym Grind, but what does that mean? What's the real essence behind that? And that's where the new phrase came of rooted in God, rebuilt in the gym, relentless in the grind. Because at the end of the day, it's not just a cool catchphrase, it's literally the way I rebuilt my life. Rooted in God, rebuilt in the gym, relentless in the grind. And that's the heart of G3X. That's the framework, and that's the filter. So if a design, if a collection, if a caption, if a photo doesn't align with that DNA, doesn't align with that message, it doesn't belong. It's not part of that DNA, right? And it won't be part of the brand. And by the way, that's why you don't see the Kingdom Grind collection live anymore. I pulled it, not because I hate the designer, not because I'm ashamed of trying, but because I'd rather admit I was wrong, I messed up, I did something that wasn't aligned, versus having something out there that isn't honest, that isn't me, that isn't G3X, right? I want G3X to be real, not trendy, not just Christian aesthetics, because I find that to be so overplayed, to be so cliche that anyone can just put some random icon on a merch, call it Christian, and that's it. And they're not even, there's no message, there's no story. You're just fluffing it up. And that's not what G3X is about. That's not what I want my brand to be about. I want it to be real, authentic, unfiltered, as I mentioned in the podcast, right? So yeah, this video is my way of saying, guys, I messed up. I launched something. I launched a collection that wasn't truly G3X. I was lost as a founder, and that's why that debacle happened. I admit that mistake. But it's also my way of saying I learned from it, and I'm not gonna let something like that happen again. Going into 2026, I'm super excited because my focus is aligned G3X, right? More lifestyle pieces that you can wear both in and out of the gym. Garments that actually tell the story of rooted, rebuilt, relentless, that aspect of still becoming. Designs that define who you are, define that man of still becoming. And then pieces that carry the weight of things that you've overcome to get to the point where you are in life. That's where I want G3X to go, and I'm super excited for that heading into 2026 because that's the real G3X, right? So if you've been with me since the beginning, thank you for not giving up on me. I'm still becoming myself. This is my story. I'm not perfect, and I'm figuring out this brand, this walk with God, this business in real time. But I can promise you this, that whatever comes next for G3X, it'll be rooted in God, rebuilt in the gym, and relentless in the grind, for real this time. So if you want to stay on this ride, if you want to see this journey, follow along, subscribe, and stick around, because let's see what God does with this new aligned version of G3X.